You're listening to the Monday Night Community Show with Daniel on BRFM.
With Talking Tech, I'm Lara Snell. Google is facing a formal investigation over claims they're in breach of data protection laws in the UK. Simon Cliff has the details.
The web giant changed its privacy policy last year and began pooling information to create more comprehensive user profiles. They argued that the changes would provide a better user experience through tailoring aspects such as advertising. But regulators are concerned that the reforms are in fact a breach of user privacy. Google is also under fire from data regulators in France for refusing to change the updated policy.
If you're planning on putting a bet on this weekend's Grand National, maybe sea bass should be the horse you plump for. A maths whiz from Cambridge University claims to have developed a formula to accurately predict the race's winner. Academic William Hartson studied the ages and names of all the race's previous 174 winners to come up with the formula. Sea bass is currently the second favourite, with the bookies to win the race. And Google is asking users to search for treasure using a new pirate mode which has been integrated into their map apps. Alongside this, a video was put on YouTube explaining how the company's street map team had discovered an underwater chest containing secret documents, revealing clues to the location of the treasure. However, before you get too excited, the news was later revealed to be in aid of April Fool's Day. With Talking Tech, I'm Lara Snell. With Talking Life, I'm Lara Snell. Last month saw the launch of the most significant development in the mortgage market for the last 5 years with the announcement of the Help to Buy scheme. This week, phase 1 of the scheme launched, with £3.5 billion being made available over the next 3 years, aimed at helping 74,000 buyers get on or move up the property ladder. However, experts are urging anyone who wants to take advantage of Help to Buy to be aware of the potential pitfalls that could still scupper their chances of taking that next step on the property ladder. Adrian McDermid, a mortgage expert from Barratt Homes, explained to us a bit more about how it will work.
First thing I'd say is that we believe this is the best opportunity for many years for prospective buyers to own a new home, and the reason is clear that they only need a 5% deposit. The way it works is that 75% of the purchase price comes from a normal mortgage. Then the government will make a loan for the remaining 20% of the value of the home. And crucially, on this part of the loan, there are no payments at all for the first 5 years.
And he told us what people can do to make sure they're mortgage fit and able to take part in the scheme.
The key to taking advantage of this scheme is being able to get a mortgage. So at Barratt, we've given a lot of thought to what we can do to help and what people can do to help themselves. And we'd encourage anybody who thinks they might be interested to visit our website, where we published a series of top tips which we think will help people get themselves in the best possible position to take advantage of this opportunity. One of those, and I think one of the most important, is I'd advise buyers to check their own credit record.
A teaching union is claiming that more children are being taught by unqualified teachers than ever before. Members of the NASUWT say it's due to the relaxing of rules regarding who schools can employ. The government claims the changes enable schools to hire the most talented people, but the teaching union says it's all about saving money. And if you always think the weather forecast gets it wrong, it seems in part at least that the Met Office agrees with you. They've admitted some of the advice issued last year was not helpful as we experienced some extraordinary changing weather patterns. The Met Office maintains that its 3-month forecasts are still experimental. With Talking Life, I'm Lara Snell. With Talking Travel, I'm Lara Snell. An airline in Samoa has become the first in the world to charge passengers based on how much they weigh. Simon Cliff has the details.
People flying with Samoa Air will now have to stump up more cash based on their weight. Now, when booking, passengers will have to provide their weight alongside their other details, and that will be checked at check-in to make sure they haven't lied. The rates charged per kilo will vary depending on the distance being flown. Airline bosses have defended the move, saying that it's the fairest way to set prices and will also promote the idea of healthier living. Samoa, like many other Pacific islands, suffers serious problems with obesity.
The cruise company Cunard will be celebrating next year as the Queen Mary II makes its 200th crossing across the Atlantic. The anniversary will be marked with special performances and guest speakers. The highlight of the celebrations will be when the ship docks in Liverpool for 2 days on May 9th, where it hasn't visited for 50 years. And the British weather appears to be having an effect on the popularity of staycations, as new research reveals more of us than ever are planning a holiday abroad this year. The study found 73% of us plan to get away this year, compared to 66% in 2012. However, the number planning a holiday on home soil has dropped for the first time in 4 years. The dreary weather last year and so far in 2013 is being blamed for the change. With Talking Travel, I'm Lara Snell. With Talking Money, I'm Lara Snell. Forecourt petrol sales have plunged over the last 5 years, according to the latest figures released by the AA. Simon Cliff has the details.
Official government figures reveal that last year 17 billion litres of petrol were sold, compared to 22 million 5 years previously. It's thought the more widespread use of smaller vehicles and the increase in people driving diesel cars have both contributed to the drop. In the year 2000, just 10% of cars sold were diesel-powered. That figure stood at over 50%. However, even taking into account the increase in the amount of diesel sold, UK fuel consumption is still down by 9% since 2007. The AA claims that's the equivalent of 35 lost days of trading since the start of the economic crisis.
According to the Halifax, house prices in the UK are continuing to modestly rise. In their latest figures, they've revealed that prices for the first 3 months of this year were just over 1% higher than in the same period last year. It's the third month in a row that the figures have been positive, although the rise has slowed since February. They say they expect to see a modest rise in house prices across the whole of 2013. And there's been some good news for the UK economy as the service industry grew at its fastest rate for 7 months in March. The closely watched figures are often an indicator of how well the UK economy is doing as a whole. It's hoped the good news may help the UK avoid a triple-dip recession following a period of negative growth in the last quarter of 2012. The service sector accounts for around 3/4 of the country's economic activity. With Talking Money, I'm Lara Snell. With Talking Health, I'm Lara Snell. Major new changes to disability payouts are beginning to come into force this week, with disability living allowance being replaced in the north of England. Simon Cliff has the details.
Claimants in the north of the country will now receive so-called PIPs, that's Personal Independence Payouts, and the new system will gradually be rolled out across the rest of the UK. Work and Pension Secretary Ian Duncan-Smith says the ridiculous system in which people receive handouts without checks must end, and these changes will address that. But groups, including the charity Scope, have claimed that the reforms are in fact all about saving the government money. They say that 600,000 people will eventually lose their support. The changes to disability living allowance are the last in a raft of benefit changes which have been introduced since the start of April.
US scientists say that a chemical in red meat may explain why eating too much of it is bad for the heart. The study found carnitine is broken down by bacteria in the gut, which sparks a chain reaction, leading to higher cholesterol and a higher chance of heart disease. The government recommends eating no more than 70 grams of red or processed meat a day, the equivalent of 2 slices of bacon. And new research has suggested that cutting down our salt intake and increasing the amount of potassium we eat could help to reduce the risk of having a stroke. One study review discovered that eating an extra 2 or 3 portions of fruit or veg a day can help to cut the odds. The increase in potassium was found to have a beneficial effect on blood pressure levels, whilst having no negative effect on kidney function or hormone levels. A stroke charity has emphasised that healthy eating is key to reducing the risk of an attack. With Talking Health, I'm Lara Snell.